I see too much violent crime being committed by young punks who think that they can get together in gangs and crews and beat the hell out of you or anyone else. They don't care where they are. They can be in DuPont Circle, but they know that we can't touch them. Why? Because the laws are weak. I can't touch you if you're 14, 15, 16, 17 years old. Probation says you should go to college. We need to go after the D.C. Council and their absurd laws. We need to get rid of this concept of, no cash bail. But it's not going to end today because the president is going to do everything we need to do. We're watching you, and we're going to change the law to catch you.
I got to get to this later because what? I think there's a lot going on with this play today that Trump did here in D.C. When I saw this, I immediately knew where this was headed. They're telling you right there, Jeannie Pirro, she used to be a TV judge and she was on a lot of stuff in the 90s and 2000s. Great friend to Donald Trump. She's basically telling you the future, which is we're probably going to lower the age for juveniles. We're not going to consider them juvenile delinquents. We're going to prosecute them as if they're an adult. That's what that sounded like to me. A threat. As you see there, she says, we're watching you. We're going to get you eventually. This is also the rich protecting themselves because they know in the future, they can't prosecute these young kids and throw away the key and lock them up and throw away the key. So possibly, quite possibly, the criminals might be smart and use some of these youth to do their bidding. Believe it or not, it's a good tactic because you can't hold a child culpable to this stuff because they're kids. How about we rehab these kids and find out why they're on the street, why they're doing these activities, why they're struggling, why they're bullying people? No, Trump's administration decides we want to put a stop to this. And the best way to do this is to be bold and blunt with our tactics, which is we will find ways to make sure you have bail where you cannot just get out of jail right away and you have to face some sort of consequence that's going to be much more harsh than going to juvie. And this is a great tactic to show that if he's willing to go after kids, what do you think his administration will do to you? That's what you really got to be asking yourself. This is not the president to do any criminal activities under, but this could be short-lived. All it takes is a liberal Democratic leader to get in, and all of this is done data. And then listen to what the DC mayor said. Sounds like when I'm watching this woman, she sounds intimidated by everything Trump told them that he's going to do. She sounds like a person that's just a yes, sir, yes, ma'am type of person. There was no pushback. She said these were the orders given down from the president. This is what we're following through with.
A lot of things we want to really analyze what we think would keep us safer. What the link to crime. I will say this, and this is, some of you are new to covering us and covering these issues, but I have been in my tenure of service very pro accountability. Okay, I am an accountability mayor. If you commit a crime in the district with a gun, there has to be accountability. And that's if you are an adult or if you are a juvenile. I don't think we always have that accountability. I think what was missing from the press conference a little bit earlier, however, is what people also don't know about the district. Our prosecutors are not local, okay? They don't get elected by anybody here. They don't report to any of us. They are appointed by the president. We've also had a period of time where some of the very good police arrests that have been made were not prosecuted by the U.S. Attorney's Office. So the prosecution is a federal element. Judges are appointed by the President of the United States as well. And so those are not local judges. They don't report to any of us. So that is a part of the federal system. So anytime we talk about crime in the district, it is part local and part federal that can make changes. All right.
The National Guard is an extreme thing that a lot of people don't do because they see it as unnecessary. You know, the local police has this, But did you know right now there are vacancies in the DC circuit? President Trump has filled quite a lot of circuit court seats already. That being said, some seats still remain open and he still has opportunities to influence the bench. That being said, the liberal judges being pushed out, could that be a way to make it seem like they're not doing their work? They're inept at doing their job, finding a way to reprimand these people doing crime? Could this even work? Politics don't get to boot them out. Only legal misdeeds can. Now, Pam Bondi is now in charge of the DC police. Trump recently declared a public safety emergency. Does federal control override the local police because DC isn't a state? DC is a federal district. It's not a state, so the president can federalize its police under emergency powers. That doesn't magically turn the city into federal territory, but it does shift the authority, and it is a controversial thing to do. It's a message, not just to DC, but to every major city that law and order must be and will be forcibly reasserted if needed. When I think about what happened with January 6th and how a lot of the MAGA Republicans were locked up, I think Trump never let that go. And he wants to see some sort of same or equal force pushed back onto the people that live in DC that are committing crimes. And as we can see, Trump is exercising so much control that it's making people wonder, is this a tyrannical dictator? Because I think back to 2020 when they had Portland on fire. They asked, do you want the National Guard to be deployed? And the mayor there at the time, Keith Wilson, explicitly stated Portland has no request and does not require the intervention of the National Guard. He even said that involving military forces would be unwarranted, unprecedented, and unconstitutional. And that has been the case in most liberal cities, where they do not want to gain any control over their citizens when they are doing anything that's even remotely criminal. Clearly, this is an attempt for Donald Trump to regain control. Americans have not taken it seriously that he's cracking down on crime, and a lot of the states have been pushing back legally to fight him tooth and nail with every policy that he's laid out, every executive order that he's laid out. This is him putting a firm hand on the table and saying, under my watch, there will be law and order. But there's also a second part of this. He's using this as a useful distraction away from Jeffrey Epstein. He wants you to be scared, to be hyper-focused on police moving into your town if you start anything, if you do anything like you are creating disorder.